Just moments ago, bombshell news erupted from Mike Rowe's Maryland residence, leaving fans worldwide in utter shock. The guy who forged his fame wading through grimy sewers and muck on dirty jobs is now entangled in an enigma way more sordid than any episode he shot. Amid a standard restroom overhaul, laborers unearthed a buried secret lurking far behind the ceramic tiles, something that halted them dead in their tracks. In no time, squad cars encircled the estate. Detectives swarmed in with proof pouches while speculation detonated across the web. What on earth could lurk concealed within the lavatory of America's most grounded tele-personality? Before unveiling the genuine revelation of their find, smash that follow icon since this tale spirals only deeper, weirder, and intensely more intimate than anybody foresaw. It kicked off as a blameless dwelling enhancement. Mike had enlisted a compact squad to swap antiquated conduits and revamp the tiling in his personal washroom, a nook he'd scarcely altered since settling in ages back. The task was straightforward: fresh fittings, updated piping, and a novel layer of varnish. Yet late that day, as a worker dismantled plasterboard aft the basin, his mallet struck an unyielding object that had no business there. Initially, he figured it for a wayward tube coupling, but upon leveraging it with a pry bar, he spotted metallic rims embedded in the batting. "Yo, Mike, you gotta check this," the laborer hollered. The whole team clustered as particulate clouded the atmosphere. The fellow meticulously loosened bolts till the panel yielded, exposing a diminutive oxidized iron casket jammed amid joists. Its edges were fused tight, caked in strata of filth, and imprinted with blurred script nobody deciphered. When Mike fingered it, the chill struck bizarrely, akin to fridge storage. He snickered initially, quipping perhaps he'd struck a covert-era vault from the prior occupant. But that chuckle swiftly evaporated as he hoisted it. It weighed unnaturally dense. While rotating it palmward, an interior item slid with a subtle, clanging jingle. All petrified, the laborer retreated. One grumbled, "That vibe ain't kosher." The casket bore an eerie mass, blending crystal tinkling versus alloy plus what faintly resembled fluid gurgling. Mike knelt, planting it terra firma. His intrigue overpowered. "We're cracking it," he murmured softly. Yet the fastener was fused solid. They essayed drivers, pincers, and ultimately a spinning cutter to slice the decayed clasp. As ignition sparked, the internal racket sharpened, something unbound, shifting liberally. The instant the barrier ruptured, a mild sizzle fled, trailed by an odor-defying depiction. A fusion of moist soil, ore, and a tangy bite. Mike and Squad exchanged glances. This wasn't an era vault. Whatever they'd exhumed wasn't destined for discovery. The chamber plunged mute as the ultimate clasp margin surrendered. Mike Rowe, clad in labor mitts, gingerly levered the tarnished cover. Hinges wailed like a sentient entity, and a tiny gust of fetid metallic breeze vented. Briefly, none stirred. Nestled within rested a pile of jaundiced missives strapped via fragile elastic, a petite ebony tape deck crusted in corrosion, and a vitreous ampoule brimming with cloudy fluid that glinted subtly beneath illumination. Mike bent nearer, gaze sharpening as the lens captured. The missives bore scrawled eras, each hailing the 80s, plus the phrase "Experiment Chronicles Lavatory Sector" fore-etched in wobbly script. "What in blazes is this?" Mike breathed. He delicately raised a cartridge. On its flank, inked dimly, lurked "Isolate Playback Solely." The dictum rippled chills across the space. Defying prudence, Mike flipped the deck, slotted a reel, and hit activate. Initially mere hiss. Then, a tenuous timbre snapped via the cone. Masculine, steady yet quivering. "Should this reach you," it uttered, "the trial breached. Evacuate this enclosure swiftly. All iced." The dispatch was curt, fractured by interference, yet the sequel pierced sufficiently to frost every auditor. "It persists operational." Mike halted the reel pronto, eyeing the team incredulously. Operational? What endures functional? He queried. Silence replied. The laborer distanced, palpably rattled. They deemed it hoax or relic audio from a former dweller. But the terror in that timbre rang authentic. Frenzied, Mike inspected the deck's base and spotted otter still. A washed-out regime stock marker. Asset of USSA branch scarcely visible. This wasn't hobbyist. The missives brimmed with terse diary scraps detailing trials of vibe-triggered conduct alteration. One noted, participant displays agitation post 90 minutes in restricted zone. Acoustic template efficacious. Mike lowered the sheets and scanned his personal washroom, grasping now that his daily dawn-dusk sanctuary might once have served a wholly alien purpose. The lens persisted spinning, but their impending unearth would render this odd instant near mundane versus what hid further in the partitions. Post-initial real conclusion, the space lingered spookily hushed. Mike fixated the compact ebony deck, doubting his audition. He rewound, reactivated, this round ear proximate. The timbre echoed the identical line, warped yet icily lucid. It persists operational, hiss ensued. Then a soft murmur beneath the clamor. A tech amplified via notebook, sieving ambient warp. As clarity emerged, all in the chamber solidified. The murmur recited monikers. Not arbitrary, precise. And one was Mike Rowe. Atmosphere thickened. Impossible, Mike grumbled. Yet the real spoke truth. Timestamp tagged 1987. That predated Mike's entry to this abode by nigh 2 decades, or Dirty Job's premiere. The laborer let tools clatter and edged gateward. The murmur wasn't solo. Overlaid timbers phased in out, as if myriad recorded concurrently. Some voiced digits. Others iterated terms like trial entity and vibe contact. Then a piercing hiss blast plus another crisp dictum. Asterisk quarantine mandated. Lavatory sector breached. Asterisk Mike's jesting facade dissolved. Y'all catching this? He whispered. The reel pressed on with a figure hacking fiercely, then mumbling. Asterisk I caution them. Partitions imbibe. Asterisk that alone surged disquiet through the squad. Imbibe what? They looped the segment endlessly till Mike spied anomaly in the sonic graph. A cadence throb veiled under, flawlessly steady, heartbeat-esque or bass vibe signal. No fluke. Deliberate embed. That eve, squad departed premature, perturbed and wordless. But Mike couldn't dispel. Long post-exodus, he lingered solo in that semi-ruined washroom, glaring bare partitions, pondering if an entity or presence observed eons prior his tenancy. Dawn next, Mike revisited with compact probe team and freelance expert in domicile spy sleuthing. He craved clarity. The eerie timbers, regime marker, and uncanny moniker nod couldn't dismiss as fluke. As they scrutinized the bared partition segment, one tech swept thermal probe along mirror rim. There it was, void aft the reflector, chillier than surrounds. Mike observed afar as the tech eased mirror borders, unveiling a tiny round optic, dime-sized, concealed in decayed bronze mount. Linked to snarled cables vanishing into slab. Ancient optic here, tech stated. 60s or early 70s vintage. Mike peered, floored. Optic in my washroom. The optic aimed tubward, embedded behind pane invisibly. Gadget patently archaic. Fed via primordial cabling to subfloor sealed nexus. Opening nexus yielded friable parchment scribbles. Asterisk sector 4 finalized. Surveillance loop archived. Asterisk era, April 14, 1968. Deeper probes yielded stranger. Nods to entity tension markers, heat conduct charting, aquasonics. None fit private abode. Mike phone law ally who verified erstwhile covert Cold War scheme entailing sonic and conduct assays in lay zones. Though archives mostly torched, the notion struck brutal. This washroom perhaps segment of that trial. Fine morphed routine domicile tweak to outright probe. Each fresh hint signaled vaster, elder, far gloomier than anticipated. By then, Mike's intrigue morphed fixation. What launched as basic domicile gig evolved unraveling riddle even he, veteran of planet's grimiest oddities, couldn't grasp. Resolved to ID installer and motive, Mike contacted pension power savant X2D late 60s. Shown wiring and optic snaps, the gent muted near 60 ticks air whispering. Haven't eyed that rig since Resonance Vault trials. Term rang hollow to Mike, but inflection conveyed volumes. Per him, Project Resonance Vault was Hush Hush Psyche trial spanning 1965 to 1989. Aim: gauge precise vibe pitches on human tension and sentiment in tight quarters, washrooms, cellars, sleep nooks. Regime supposedly allied covert constructors to embed covert gear in chosen trial domiciles masked as pipe or vent fits. Info, per myth, beamed to zone hubs for scrutiny. Most such abodes later vended to oblivious folk, trial hardware entombed behind barriers. Mike's mandible clenched as reality coalesced. His washroom, no mere trial locale. Potentially final live nexus of this Cold War trial. Savant cautioned if set up partly whole, lingering EM fields or sonic echo pitches might embed structure. Mike summoned EcoSkin Squad to verify. Meters spiked instant activation in washroom. Subtle drone at 19 Hz. Notorious dread pitch triggering unease, disquiet, visions in extended contact. No shock tape guy claimed operational. Mike breathed. Truth slammed. Years potentially cohabiting atop tech, crafted to warp psyche. And if his pad housed one such vault, others might pulse mute nationwide. Days in, Mike's unearthed seeped to trusted scribes. What sparked quirky private riddle morphed countrywide probe. Hacks burrowed vintage city schematics, builder records, Fedland files. Findings chilled. Mike's not lone. Duo Moore Estates in 50-mile sweep held akin-sealed niches with obsolete recorders, knotted cables, decayed mag reels tagged entity watch info. One owned aged pair resident since late 70s. Other, forsaken, held by bankrupt build firm ex-regime packs. Schematics mirrored tweaks, bolstered wall voids, bespoke earth spikes in washrooms. Scribes contacted ex-defense hands. Shards of entombed verity surfaced. Project Resonance Vault Reel. Bankrolled via Dummy Initiative 60s, crafted to probe conduct under sly sonic tweak. Via base vibe surges, regime boffins sought trial sentiment flexibility. How vibe could shift view, tension, even obedience sans entity can. Trials in isolated or serene abodes. Evasion near impossible. Mike's lot one such when expose struck press. Socials exploded overnight. Titles screamed. Asterisk Mike Rowe abode tied to Cold War mind trials and Dirty Jobs icon digs true grime. Asterisk Mike stayed serene, issuing note. Knee-deep in oddities aplenty, but this tops. Yet find posed grim queries. How many U.S. pads conceal these gadgets? Why never decommissioned? Most eerie, what info gathered? Were routed. Pros alerted if akin vibe templates linger in vintage builds. Remnant juice might persist live. Abruptly, Mike's washroom spark dubbed Sonic Trial Furor. Fed chroniclers cracked sealed docs, impending fines to floor masses. Post-media frenzy, Mike greenlit Total Rehab Squad to scour domicile every micron. Probe unit toted bespoke scanners, IR optics, mini UAVs for leftover wall voids. Beneath washroom ceramics lurked prior finds near quaint. Aft mirror rim, faintly gouged in grout, odd glyphs, numerals, loci, letter bits etched like enduring missive of stealth. Marks no chaos. One locus aimed straight derelict armed research hub Nevada, long closed, wiped public logs. Adjacent, trio terms uneven scrawl. It heeds yet, squad logged each etch, dispatched to decode vault Cold War cipher prose. Post-hours scrutiny, missive clarified. Caution from Project Org Savant, who'd evidently wrecked own trial to halt proliferation. Decoded bit. Resonance crumbles when hush shattered. Mike-eyed render long. Testing vibe. Dreading hush, he posed. Vault Tech affirmed. Line hinted vibe pitches unstable or perilous when interrupted or external metal. More ceramics lifted. Rusted bits linked sealed conduit no aqua bearer. Rather, broadcast duct-packed slim copper spirals to fairy base resonance. Duct terminus, antique signal booster, crude amp for vibe via barriers. Still softly droning, fed trace grid juice. Disconnection ceased drone instant. Mike termed post-hush deafening. Premiere in moons, abode felt standard anew. No quake, no odd air press, no ear static. But pre-wrap, squad spied final quirk. Tucked subplank by outflow, laminated scrap. Aqua scarred yet readable. Held ultimate memo. If this chamber rattled, log all. That spooked Mike. Who penned why? Deeper delve, plainer this transcended one pad. Slice of vaster, deliberate interred, softly erased. Moon's post-ultimate unearth. Fed sleuths hit Mike Rowe estate official. Cordon washroom, snapped each face, seized all proof. Reels, cables, even barrier shards. Soon, muted press blurb from a non-defense wing affirmed Project Resonance Vault existed. Ops ceased 1989. Blurb claimed trials non-intrusive, no rationale for live spy gear in private pads decades on. Mike raged yet poised. In live shop cast, he voiced, years showcasing U.S. toil truth, never figured dirtiest gig in own pad. Timbre shook, not dread, disbelief. Detailed how find shifted privacy, faith, history vista. Viewers reacted volcanic. Millions-eyed clip hours in. Global outlets snatched, branding lavatory dossiers. As forensics parsed reclaimed gadgets, one standout. Hints ultra-bass vibe surges yet traceable in chamber frame. Evidence system live over half-century. What beamed? None sure. More cryptic, extra loci gouged ceramics. Each tied distant U.S. spots. Template emerged, hinting Mike's not lone freak, but huge lattice. Myriad covert hubs, each subtly droning obsolete tech. FBI sparked total inquiry, yet docs redacted heavy. Mike morphed trauma to crusade, pledging full verity on Earth. Dirty jobs always sought sense in chaos, he told fans. But this chaos, engineered. He unveiled Doka series echoes underfoot, plotting revisit each wall-gouged locus. For now, his washroom stays barred, kept as proof of decades' eeriest, most unnerving on Earth. What surfaced in Mike Rowe's washroom wasn't mere jolt. It bared covert U.S. history slice never meant audible and maybe heating throughout.